Hello there, LLC land. Another week, another dollar. Governor, right into it. How are you tonight, sir?
Uh, Deflated.
Heard.
Oh, oh,
That's all I got.
it's so hard to say
Oh Lord.
goodbye to the cowboy.
No, that's
I
not what
don't
I
I
meant.
don't think that
Yeah.
is I think that is the least
That
of
that ship
all
has
problems.
sailed a long time ago.
We're
Um,
off that port.
that ship.
Oh,
I mean, it's comedy now whenever any pundits want to talk about the Cowboys because it's an absolute joke. Let's move
you
on.
you should try living here.
Oh boy.
We living in the DFW and listening to sports talk radio
Oh
is
man.
absolutely like it's popcorn eating worthy for sure
Oh,
every day.
gosh.
All
Mm-mm-mm.
right. Well, Clyde, how are you tonight?
Um, I'm actually more pissed off now than I was last night
Mm-hmm.
because I've spent my day being told that the dystopian nightmare that we are choosing to walk ourselves into isn't going to be as bad and we all should just chill. Fuck that. I know when people are spitting in my face, and I watched it live, and that's cool. You know, it is what it is, but I know what it is, and I'm not enjoying a day of being told that it's something else. So that's how my day is.
Deja vu yourself. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm actually, to be honest, I am so much better than I was 24 hours ago, but I will just say that I think for me, I have resolved to be square jawed in the face of what it is that we have to deal with, and I plan to deal with it head on.
Amen to that.
Yep.
Like at the end of the day, that's just what it is. I'm not getting steamrolled by nothing. You know, I, I think there's going to be some people that are going to take some or attempt to take some privileges they don't have, and they're going to be so sorely mistaken.
Mhm.
But you know, in the end, at the end of the day, like this too shall pass. Not easily, not. You know, to Clyde's point, it's not a nothing, but this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
I
Kind
don't
of.
want to. I don't want to.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I said spoken minimally today,
Look,
intentionally.
if our ancestors can survive what they have survived to even get us to be here, let alone have the opportunity to vote, let alone have the opportunity to be upset about the election. If they can go through what they went through, we are yoked and prepared to go through what we have to go through. Nobody said any of it was going to be easy. Like I said, set your jaw, put your chest out.
I feel like times like this, for me, are enlightening. And when I was able to see, like, the first time a woman was allowed to vote in this country, and when the first time a black woman was allowed to vote in this country, I mean, my jaw hit the floor because I was alive
Right.
the first time a black woman was allowed to vote in this country. Like, are you kidding me? So it yeah, it kind of sets the stage because you realize, holy crap, like we're not anywhere near far removed from a lot. We we
Yeah.
we're
It
still
wasn't in
not
black and
out of
white.
the woods by any stretch of the imagination. So when absolute effery like this happens, okay. So
Yep.
So let's
Well,
go.
yeah. Let's see if we
Bring
can put
on
a
the
Band-Aid.
distractions.
I know. I was literally gonna say to see if we can find a Band-Aid to get a distraction to put ourselves on a different path for a moment. So, we've talked about World Athletics and the potential athletes of the year for the different respective categories and whatnot. But now they have published the final the final lists of the categories. So let me go through the categories and then we'll go backwards from that. So track male athlete of the year finalists are Ingebrigtsen and Taboho. The female track athletes of the year finalists are Juju and Sid. Male field athletes of the year finalists are Mondo and Tentaclu. And then female field athletes of the year finalists are Nafi and Mahucic. Did I get that right, Governor?
Mahucic.
I literally was practicing that in my head.
Yeah.
So let's rewind, push play. Male track athlete of the year. Did they get it right?
Not just no. Someone will have to one day explain to me how you are entered in one event, you are undefeated indoors, break the world record, and I think you lose maybe twice outdoors all season and win the gold medal, and you are not a finalist, and both people who are lost races that they didn't medal in at the Olympics. Someone will one day have to explain that to me. I just don't get it. I don't know how you could possibly be given this award and Grant is not in the final tally. I don't get it.
I will say, much like last night, I do not enjoy being right about certain instincts that I have. Grant not being a finalist is wild, but I'm not surprised. I said that my pick was Taboho, so I understand why he's there. But Ingebrigtsen being there over Grant is
that's
Crazy.
wild.
Is
it's unexplainable. What's my favorite term is that it's indefensible. You can't defend this one.
I don't know. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Who has the higher ranking? Let me see if I can pull it up quickly.
The higher overall ranking.
Yeah.
I believe that would be Ingebrigtsen.
It's gonna be Ingebrigtsen because he has multiple events where he can set world records. Like we've done this.
But yes, and if I'm not mistaken, this was my point that y'all that you were confusing specifically the first time, because it's not about that. Right.
World Athletics Council accounts for 50% of the vote.
That is correct.
And then World Athletics Family and the public vote on social media account 25% each. So those three entities determine the top two.
Well, okay. So I'm going to stand corrected, because now I understand the point I think you were shooting at, EP. On Ingebrigtsen is the number 2 world ranked overall athlete, period. And his 5 performances that they are counting, 3 of them are 1,500 meters, 1 is a 3K, and 1 is a 5K. So I don't really understand how you can blend that way, but that is absolutely why he's number 2, and Taboho is number 4. Those are the top 2 ranked runners.
Yep.
So to the point that I was making, if it's a World Athletics Award and they want their rankings to have credibility, I'm not only going to say that, like, Ingebrigtsen's going to win it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's straight math, their math, their funny math, he's gonna win it.
It's again.
So
We're playing a game that's rigged from the beginning.
after the finalists are determined, a fan vote on the World Athletics Inside Track platform. I don't know what that is. Helps determine the overall World Athletes of the Year. A like on Facebook and Instagram or a retweet on X counts as one vote.
Whoa.
Right.
So you're trying to run
So
it. You're
it's
trying
the
to run
platforms are
engagement.
that. Yeah. The platform are the medias.
Yeah, you're trying to run engagement, but they're not going to hand it over to the person with the most retweets. They just want engagement. Still going to give it to who they want.
Ain't no way to Boho is winning.
No.
I mean, I would love to know how many athletes actually know how this is done.
Very few.
Yeah. And look, I can't wait till we do the rest of this, because this might be the one they got the least wrong, and it's completely wrong.
Oh man.
All right. So then let's move on. Female athlete of the year finalists were Juju and Sid.
Again,
I was gonna say, I'll let somebody else say what I just said, but about somebody else.
hell no. Because now this one. So this one is where they are like this
Tripping.
one's the most interesting to me.
This one was tripping.
Because in order to land on this one, you had to skip Faith, who is number 1 on their system.
Right.
You had to skip Chibet, who's number 2 on their system.
Yep.
You had to skip Femke, who's number 3 on their system.
I'm sorry, keep going. And I'll
right. So they bypassed the first 3, put Juju in there, who is number 4, then skipped Paulino and Yavi to land on Sid. So this one, they not even using the math, which makes the grant issue even worse, because you could at least say, well, they're just going down the list.
Right.
Clearly, they don't care about the list unless they want to care about the list. So this one is pure PR. And in the PR battle between Juju and Sid,
that is a landslide.
Yes.
Well, okay. Is it though?
Sid is going to kill her.
Okay. I'm gonna be.
It takes a like to cast a vote, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But the social media votes aren't determinative of who wins, correct? It's a part.
No.
It says that's the winner.
The winner is going to be.
I think the winner is going to be determined on a popular vote
determines the winner.
Oh, well then I can't even make my sinister but petty point then.
Nope.
Dang. Well then, I mean, hey, if all we're doing is an old school track sharp population poll, then popularity poll, yeah, sure, Sid's gonna win. That's wild. That's wild. Yeah, there's a lot of bypassing on that one.
I mean, it's like this, right? Tell me you don't want somebody to win without telling me you don't want them to win. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what Faith did to somebody, but if you ask the athletes in the world, they will tell you that this is Faith.
If this was an athlete vote, oh come on now.
She might win close to unanimously.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And it's so insane. It's not a shot, right? It's not a shot at either of the two that are remaining, but let's just think about this. They eliminated the person who had the most gold medals at the Olympics and the person who had the best statistical season. Right? They eliminated Faith and Gabby. So we're literally looking at a contest between number 3 and number 4.
No, shit. No, number 3 and number 7.
No, I don't mean, I'm saying like of the 4 finalists they gave us.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
all right.
it's an interactive exercise is what it is.
Well, and it's quote unquote I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to, the world we live in now in regards to voting, right?
Oh boy.
We were trying to get away from this.
Nope. Nope.
This way. This
Nope.
way.
All right. So with that said, on the male field athlete side, I mean,
Listen,
sorry.
I
You're
said
really
this the
good
first
today.
time.
That's why I haven't talked.
I
today
said
at
this the
all.
first time. If Mondo doesn't win this award, I will no longer talk about World Athletics track and field.
Okay, so Mondo and Tentaglu was where I was going.
That's a no-brainer.
I mean, look,
But did they
give
get it right
Tentoglu
first? Wait, hold on. Did they get it right first? Are those the two finalists?
No.
Again,
But-
I love Tentoglu, right? I do. And he had an undefeated season till the very last meet of the year. Okay. Over Brian Krauser?
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow.
man. Hey, Tentoglu is number 30. He's number 30.
Listen. We are going to make sure that the Europeans are represented.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
we're not
it is the American electorate.
we are going to make sure that we have representation.
Wow.
Like, listen, Tentoglu has had we've had this conversation before. He's having an incredible career in the midst of no competition.
I'm just okay.
The man's PB, which he did this year, is 30 centimeters from the world record, and we just eliminated a guy that has set world records like every year the last 4 years.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So
but here's the thing though. If the governor is right, and we tend to lean towards the governor being right, we trust him, right, when he tells us things. If you're telling me that the World Athletics Athlete of the Year is ultimately determined by a Twitter poll,
yes,
then that is no longer a legitimate award. Now, if you tell me that it's like the Twitter poll is a part of the consideration, cool.
Wait,
No.
but didn't you say that it was 25% of it? What was that?
That's to get to top two.
That's how we got to where we're at.
Got it. Okay.
Those three entities determine
Right, like
top two.
listen,
But I
I'm
do
all
want
and then
people to
fan vote
understand, though,
determines.
Yeah.
That 25% that is the World Athletics family. There is nothing more vague or BS than that.
I don't even know what that means.
That's your point. That's the point. That's the point.
Because deja vu, you should be getting a ballot. I should be getting a ballot. I mean,
listen, I'm totally here for the Twitter poll being the Twitter poll, and then the adults in the room make a decision. I'm here for that. But if you telling me that the incredibly fucking Twilight Zone that we live in as humans today is going to tell me that Tentoglu gets the trophy and Mondo doesn't, which, excuse me, is a very real possibility here. I'm just out. Like,
I here's what I'll say. No matter what metric they use, I don't think there's any way that Mondo loses. I think he is the most popular field event athlete in all of Europe.
Yes.
But to your point, it shouldn't come down to anything near that.
If anything, have a Twitter poll of athletes.
I mean, look, again, sometimes you got to give people credit for doing it the right way, right? The Bowerman is a combination of the people and their votes and their tweets and knowledgeable humans and past Bowerman winners.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the World Athletics Award should be some conglomeration thereof.
And NFL All Pro is determined by the players, not the damn fans.
Right.
I mean, if it's up to the fans, all the Cowboys would be all pro.
Oh, again, please, please, I beg you, please. No.
Oh gosh.
So
Oh
if they went
gosh.
purely off of rankings, Krauser, Alekna, and Kovacs would be the top three.
You can't let that happen.
Just, what kind of award ceremony would that be, huh?
People wouldn't even know who to vote for.
Oh Lord.
Who let those guys in this banquet?
Oh man.
Oh man. All right. So to the women,
Mm-hmm.
we've got Mahucic and Nafi. So
Now, if
Deja
y'all,
Vu should be
This
happy.
is the best version of the top
I
two.
was like, this is the best version.
Yes.
And if y'all remember correctly, what did I say? I know who should win, but I know who's gonna win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mahucic is going to win.
Listen, I couldn't tell you who gonna win because y'all told me it's the Twitter poll. So whatever. I don't know if there's more twittering going on in one nation versus the other.
And so that's what I was going to say too, right? When you go to the Juju quote unquote competition, like for the country per capita, like how much engagement is there for that, right? Like we know she's going to pull Texas votes. We know she's going to pull whatever other, well, assume she's going to pull the other Caribbean votes. But like for St. Lucia,
Ain't no one in Texas looking at this nonsense except
Yeah.
well,
Uh,
her teammates, the UT people.
yeah.
But anyways, just very interesting. Very interesting. So, you know, we've definitely spoken on this topic and those included under this umbrella. But now that we're getting down to the wire, I don't know, I feel like we may have disengaged Clyde because it's a popularity contest at this point.
Clyde
I
no
don't
longer
care no more.
cares.
Listen. It's not the worst voting news I've heard today,
Mhm.
but
Okay,
it's
Jesus.
pretty
Okay.
stupid.
All right. Okay.
It's
Pretty
top
stupid.
two.
Well, I don't know. We
Oh,
haven't got to the
jeez.
CFP yet.
Oh God. All right. So moving on, because I can't do it anymore. We are now at the CFP. So just go ahead and just
But
turn.
didn't we skip something?
No.
No, we did all four.
Right, but then we hold on. Y'all know I'm tired.
We did all four.
Yeah, we're
So
good.
going,
End of the season. Or was
not
that
yet.
last?
That's last. That's
Oh,
last.
my bad.
See, it's the end of the season.
See, follow along, sir.
I mean, I was reading the
Pro-
order for the first one.
Programming note once again. Clyde does not read the program show
I'm
notes.
reading it this time.
Just so y'all know.
Talking about, I'm sorry, excuse me. The CFP rankings were released. You all know I'm over college football, so you take it from there. I'm protesting. I
All
can't
right,
handle this no more.
let me. I just want to give this part. Let's just talk about the hot topic shenanigans, right? We'll go right at it. First of all, Georgia's resume and Texas's resume are not better than Tennessee's resume. Start there. BYU and IU, regardless of what you think about who they've played, are being so ridiculously disrespected that I don't necessarily like either school. Like, I'm not a fan of either, but they are both undefeated in Power 5 conferences, and they are behind a cornucopia of people with one loss. The biggest and most ridiculously fraudulent thing on here is that Alabama, with not one but two losses, is in the 11th spot, ahead of Boise State, who has one loss on the road in Autzen Stadium in a walk-off field goal by the number one team in the country. So there's your shenanigans. As it's set up, we can go from here. I'll finish my soliloquy off and say there is always an overreaction to the first one, and there is this time too, right? Because, for instance, Oregon and Ohio State are probably going to play each other again. Alabama and LSU play this weekend, and one of them is going to be eliminated. So Bama may go from 11 to being not even a thing. Indiana,
Right.
who I just said got disrespected, still has to play Ohio State. So they're about to get even further disrespected because they're going to go from 8 with no losses to 18 with 1 loss, because we all know that that's coming. Penn State is at 6. I'm sort of confused, but I think the 1-loss SEC schools for once are going to settle themselves out. What's really going to be interesting to me is what the committee does if you have 4 1-loss Big Ten teams. See, because Oregon has no losses, Ohio State has 1 loss, IU has no losses, and Penn State has 1 loss. If Penn State wins out, they finish with 1 loss and can't even play in the conference championship. If IU loses to Ohio State and then Ohio State beats Oregon in the Big Ten championship, you have, count them, folks, 4 Big Ten teams with 1 loss.
I can answer that.
Take it away, Clyde.
So I made a promise as the CEO of Team Chaos. I made a promise that once the playoffs were expanded, I would complain less. I never said that I wouldn't complain. So, I have lesser of a problem with the shenanigans that are going to take place, and the number 13 team, whoever that be, is left at home. I don't care nearly as much about number 13 as I did about number 4 and 5 or number 3 when it was top 2. So I will be less angry about this. However, the game is still the game, and the shenanigans are still the shenanigans. So to answer the question of Mr. Deja Vu, if that scenario plays out, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. Indiana is going to get the shaft.
I mean, I said that. That's going to happen for sure.
Because this system has always been and will always be about protecting, to borrow a term that they use in the basketball arena, the blue bloods.
The blue bloods.
An undefeated Indiana is not the same as an undefeated Ohio State, even though they're in the same conference and play roughly the same schedule.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Ohio State is important and popular. Indiana is apparently random. That is what it's going to be. So don't get it twisted. These initial rankings are set the way they are set in order to protect the brands. And I got news for you people. Don't you think for one damn second that a 3-loss Alabama won't find their way to number 12. I'm just saying it's
No
12
chance.
for a reason.
No
okay.
chance.
All right.
Now that one I'll bet you on.
Okay, hold on. Timestamp 9:41 p.m. Central Time.
I'm saying,
November
all I'm
6th.
saying is that it is possible. Because there's a lot of games left, right? When the dust settles, it depends on who you're talking about. An Alabama. Now, it's not Nick Saban's Alabama anymore, so that might shuffle them off. But I'm just saying. But listen,
if they lose this weekend at LSU,
it's a wrap.
Cooked. Done.
Yes.
We finito. Because LSU is what? 15. Trust me when I tell you, when LSU beats Alabama at night, where Brian Kelly is undefeated, they're going to slide into that smooth 11 spot.
No, all that's cool. All I'm saying is the number is 12. The number is really 11 because you have one guaranteed spot for the highest ranked champion that is not the P4. So there's really 11 spots, but there's not really 11 spots because all the conference champions are going to get in. So 11, 12, 9, 8. So it's really
7.
8, 7.
7 spots.
So you got 7 at large, quote unquote. You got 7 positions that the committee is going to determine. Yes. And I assure you, of those 7, it's going to be a minimum of 3 in the SEC, 3 in the Big Ten,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe, depending on how it plays out, an additional Big 12 or an additional ACC or whatever. But the Big Ten currently runs the business of college sports. LA, DC, Chicago, New York, all in control, and the SEC is the SEC. The only major difference in this is that the SEC no longer stands alone at the top of the mountain on the business side of things. So the Big Ten and the SEC will be protected at all costs. They will set it up as cleanly as they can to land what they want for the Final Four. And at this moment, as Team Chaos CEO, I am all in for BYU. Go Cougs.
I also am and all in, but I will say we have to add one addendum to your math. There are actually only 6 spots because you got to save a spot for Notre Dame.
Yep.
Well, that is one of the blue bloods. That is one of the protected entities, right?
Notre Dame is going to win out playing the service academies, right? I don't think they play anybody else of any note, and they're going to get in with a loss to Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Just so I'm saying.
Just know that would never happen in Indiana.
No shot.
So at this stage of the season, I mean, everything that you guys have been talking about, I mean, it's in plain view. We're no longer dealing with, did I miss that? Did I see that? No, it is front and center now. You can see these things playing out. And I'm going to go in a different route. The way that Miami has been protected, and I mean, multiple times this season. Okay? It is unbelievable. You know, and I'm not saying they're not good enough. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying they don't have a top 3 draft pick in their QB. I mean, he's phenomenal. But boy, like there's some Mahomes-esque things that are happening with Miami right now.
The ACC took a massive blow this weekend when Clemson lost.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did. So
somebody gets to go. Somebody's going.
The jostling for position, you know, it's not 4 anymore. It's 12 now. So it is really intriguing, you know. And how does the Big 12 feel right now with BYU?
The Big 12 has always been disrespected, but now, listen, it's one of them things like it was happening behind closed doors. Now they just getting slapped across the face in broad daylight. The Big 12's current undefeated leader is 9th in the country.
Yes.
Behind 1, 2, 3, 4 Big 10 teams, and 1, 2, 3 SEC teams.
Yep.
Listen, what the Big 12 is clinging to is that the Fighting Primes can find their way into the 12. And I assure you, if at all possible,
oh man,
they will get a little boost.
They will get a boost.
They will get a boost.
Yep.
They're in the 25.
They're currently number 20.
Yeah, and Clemson is, aren't they like right around there, like 21 or 2?
Clemson is 23.
23, yeah.
So, you've got 3, you've got 2 7-1 Big 12 teams that are just sitting there in the lower 20s.
Iowa State can never live up to the I'll find a way. Well,
Never.
I tell you what.
As soon as they make enough noise where people jump on the bandwagon, they lose immediately.
Oh man. Yeah, so this is, you know, obviously it's the first edition of this. I can't wait to see how this all plays out because
we're still in line for the Army Navy shenanigans.
Yes.
Still here for that.
That's
The
what I'm
funniest
Indeed.
team in the top 25 right now, though, the funniest team
Indeed.
is the Pac-2 representative sitting at 21. Tupac
Oh,
representative, Washington State, Wazoo.
oh.
7-1.
Run the
So
table, baby.
here's what's funny. Boise State beat them too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that don't matter. They undefeated in the pack.
Boy.
No, all we ever hear, right, is Boise State don't play nobody. That's not.
Hey, look, listen. Boise State, much like Iowa State, needs to not fumble the bag.
That's all they have to do.
Don't fumble the bag.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the truth. Boise State has never fumbled the bag. So this time, look, when they put together a 12-team playoff, basically in my mind, it was to appease the Boise States of the world, right? It was like, look, y'all keep talking about y'all don't ever get a fair shot. There ain't no way you keep out of the top 12. Plus, they're gonna probably win their conference, so they're gonna get a chance. Now, that chance is gonna be on the road playing freaking Ohio State. But hey, you got a shot, and you can't say you didn't get one.
Now, I think when the dust settles, they're gonna get a better game than that. But yeah, but either way, look, you in, you in. Like I don't want to hear it. You're in. You know what I mean? Like I just don't.
I think, and look, I'm not really always here for the conspiracy theories, but I will say this: knowing that seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8 host the first round, I would tell you I doubt very seriously that there's a path for Boise State ends up 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah. Because
I don't think they want that game to be played in the Mountain Time Zone in a stadium that holds 36,000 people. I just don't think that's what they want to happen. Now we'll see. You know, look, it is what it is. They'll play itself out. I hope they end up as the 8 spot so that they actually host.
Hey,
now listen, the worst part about being the 8 is right. Is the 8, 9. If the winner of that plays the 1.
and that's fine. Listen, again, if you're number 13 in this, like I'm not here for you. I don't really want to hear it. Like I might make a small case, you know, that you got the shaft. But at the end of the day, if you're number 13, it is what it is. I'm just everybody that said that this would ruin college football, you're an idiot. It's way more compelling.
Now I will say this: SMU is an ACC school, and if there is a shot for them to get into the 12, because again, Bama and Notre Dame can lose. Yep. Tennessee can lose.
Well, all SMU got to do to get in is beat Miami in the title game.
I mean, sure.
It's a neutral site game. Where's the ACC championship game held at?
Let's see.
That's a good question.
It used to be in Charlotte or Jacksonville. I thought it was in Charlotte.
Orlando, maybe? I don't know.
So SMU has Boston College, Virginia, and Cal on their schedule.
You're going to lose the Cal. That's where they're going to fumble the bag. They're going to lose the Cal.
Cal comes to their place.
They're going to fumble the bag to Berkeley.
They might lose to the Golden Bears. But we shall see. They have one loss?
It's one loss. The Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte.
Charlotte.
At the Panthers place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Any way too early predictions on the national champ?
Nope.
We want to step out?
I ain't got nothing for you.
Nah, not yet.
Not yet.
All right.
I will say this. I think Oregon is the best team in the country. I might think Boise State is the 3rd or 4th best team in the country, though.
I would roll with that. I'd roll with that.
And I think
Oregon got the same problem. Don't fumble the bag.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So we're going in. Gentlemen, what does an end of the season meeting look like for you? And you and you.
Are we talking with the staff or with the children?
See, that's a question I had, and everybody said just say the words and it'll be answered.
Okay, well then I'll answer it twofold. When it comes to the athletes, the student athletes, personally, I loathe the fact that end of the season meetings are mandatory. I get why departments make us do them, but it's one of those CYA things that is just gonna go left more times than not. Because if it was a good year, people want to be compensated. If it was a bad year, it's all your fault.
Mm.
And so what my goal always is with the end of the year meetings is to legitimately make sure that the student athletes feel that they have been heard and have the most peaceful exit. That is my goal. I go into every conversation with those two things in mind. Let them be heard, peaceful exit. And I will say I'm pretty good at getting out of there unscathed. When it comes to the staff, see, if you're an assistant and you got to go see the boss at the end of the year, or you're a boss and you got to evaluate the assistants at the end of the year, I actually think that is useful. And in my experience, unless you're having a moment of utter delusion from your employee, I think the end of the year meetings with the staff are actually quite productive. Because you're coming to those with a sense of common purpose and common ground. You all saw the same stuff that you saw, and usually, like I said, unless there's an adversarial moment where you're actually trying to fire the EP, right? It's really just the two of y'all, you coming together to talk about what we all witnessed from the year and how we can do a better job of it moving forward. Like the staff ones are usually chill. I've never been intimidated by going to see a head coach I was working for at the end of the year. And I always try to come to the meetings with my staff at the end of the year, from a sense of gratitude for their efforts for the year, and just kind of like, hey, tell me what you like.
So I had put this in the group chat, and it was a sample questionnaire. Basically from the AD to the head coach. And the questions on there, and it was basically, what kind of questions would you put on this questionnaire as an AD trying to have a conversation with your head coach? So started with what is going well with the program, what areas need the biggest improvement in the program, how's it going with the following, and this is probably a team sport: raising money, player participation, assistant coaches, working with your feeder teams, communication with parents, program promotion. And then there's a section of needs, wants. What are the things that you need coming up in the following year? Athletics assessment, what's going well in the athletic department? What does the athletic department need to work on? What can we do to help your program? And then it opens up to any other questions that you would want addressed.
How many of those questions could I sum up with, I need more money? Because I can say it a few different ways.
Yeah. I think at this stage, with all the changes and all the, the new stuff that's being thrown at us, I think at this stage it's kind of hard to even have this conversation, because do we even know what's coming? Do you even have a clue, what track and field or what athletic track and field is going to look like next year? We don't. We really don't. You know, yes, you can talk about what's going well with the program. You can talk about, you know, the improvements on the team, where you've taken the team, where the team was last year and where it is, who are we losing, who we're trying to bring in, uh, what areas need the biggest improvement? Do we need a new surface on our facility? You know, what's going on with equipment? You know, all of that is kind of wrapped up into that. Now, what if raising money was part of our mandate, right? How, I mean, what if that was, uh, think about that. I mean, that is a real thing. When I saw that one, I was like, boy, you know, what would we be responsible for raising? Like, how much money? Like, what are we raising money for? You know?
I'll say this in the context of the questionnaires, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think scary is the right word, but probably the most irritating conversation that I can imagine in that setting is if your administrator, immediate supervisor is one of these people who doesn't know your sport, but swears that they do.
Yeah.
That would drive me up the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the reality of some people.
I think the only thing I can think of that's worse than that is when your administrator sort of knows your sport, but came from a different school that does your sport differently than you do it at your current school.
Mm-hmm.
So you are an exceptional apple, but always being compared unfavorably to the formerly exceptional orange.
Yeah.
And, you know, the idea that you should be doing it like they did at the person's last school.
Yeah.
You know, being shined under that lens constantly and wanting to say, time out, shut the fuck up. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
But you can't, right? You can't. F up. Sorry. Shut the F up.
I mean, okay. So
Today's world does not require decorum, as we have learned.
so essentially, right? You know, part of, you know, this whole settlement and all of that stuff, track and field, and we'll discuss this once
So
Luther, Sir Lucius.
Lucius.
I'm thinking Luther. I'm like, Sir Lucius,
The man gonna come back singing to us.
graces us with his presence. But what if part of our mandate was to put on 2 money-making meets a year? Right?
Define money making.
Well, I mean,
no, that would be my response.
Yeah, like, so
define money making.
I mean, 2 bona fide meets with entry fees, with concessions, with, you know, you're pretty much putting on your very own circus to make as much money as
I could throw a party back on the weekend if that's what you want. We can, you know, have an open bar and we can make some money.
You know, I mean, it's and it kind of, you know, like, for instance, at UTSA, currently all of the on campus, well, I shouldn't say all except football, basketball, baseball, every other sport is pretty much free. Right. And, you know, that would have to change. Right. So are you reaching out to all the area high schools? Are you putting on a separate high school meet? You know, you have one of the best facilities in the area, right? Are you using the track to your full benefit? And at the end of the year, are you saying, hey, we just put 10, 15, 20, $30,000 in your coffers, and, you know, with between parking, you know, concessions, tickets, like, what if the staff was part of our mandate was to do that, you know? I wouldn't mind it. I mean, you know, 2 weekends a year when our jobs are on the line. Yeah, I'll do it.
Listen, I got a cold idea for a collegiate meet setting. Of course, it would never actually be allowed to happen. But listen, people don't come to track meets for real. They for sure don't come to college track meets, right?
Mhm.
So listen, it's open bar. We're gonna have a I don't even know what the term is, but there's going to be a station where you can
Mhm.
place your bets race to race. Because
Oh my
Wow.
people
gosh.
showing up don't know who's who anyway. They betting on their friends and their family. We got an open bar. We got bets on the line. You paying for parking. You paying for tickets.
Yep.
There's going to be, a taco truck we're getting 50% of. Like, oh, and there's going to be a DJ, but not for real. Like,
You got to do a 50-50 raffle too, right? Because there is no easier way to collect money than the 50-50 raffle.
So
sure,
deja
whatever.
vu. He's talking about the San Jose relays then, right? Is that what he's talking?
Back in the day, Fresno
Listen,
relays too.
Fresno relays, baby.
hey, whatever you got to do. But no, at my hypothetical wouldn't be allowed because the NCAA is odd meet. Oh, there's an open bar and there's gambling, and we gonna make this money.
Mm-hmm.
But see,
Um,
I'm gonna go down the wormhole of even y'all are assuming that your sport, your event, gets to keep the gate sale, the
Oh no, no,
concession
no, no,
stand.
no. You be a fool if you don't get that
Yeah.
in writing
Right.
first.
Right.
But like at our school, we don't get gate sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. And we have to rent our own facility.
I mean,
a lot of schools are like that.
But what I'm saying then is like any of our home meets
mm-hmm.
are very rarely into the green.
Yeah.
We bring money in, but
If you're having the Horn Frog Invitational on Saturday, you have to pay TCU
Yes.
mm-hmm,
Yes.
have the meet.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't even understand that.
I'll throw one at you. Pretty much,
What is the point of that?
I can pretty much eliminate 30% of any money I make from a camp.
I was just about to tell
Oh
you,
yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
when I was at Cal,
Yeah.
I had to rent the track for camp.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree.
And I had
Yeah.
to rent the housing.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
agree. I don't agree with that practice, but I understand that practice goes on, and I can almost understand why it goes on.
Mm-hmm.
You telling me I gotta pay
Yep.
to have my own meat?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So if I just didn't have the meat at all, I'd save money.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
That makes no sense at all. I'm
So
traveling all the time.
so
I'm going 10 relays.
my additional answer to this end of year meeting question, taking it from the parameters that the governor laid out. If I was the AD, one question I would ask of every coach that reported to me would be, what 3 ideas do you have to improve on the gaps in your program?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
want every head coach to be thinking ownership wise of their own program, right?
Right.
You can't always come to me as the AD and be like, I need more money. I need more money. Yes, I get that. We all know you need more money, but I need you every year to come with 3 new ideas. Can't be the same 3. Come with 3 new ideas as to how you're going to stand in the gap for your own program,
Right.
right? Do a golf tournament, like figure it out. But all I need is I need some creativity, because then at least I know we're never going to be equally yoked, but at least I know that you're not always coming to me with my hand out. I need. To Clyde's point, the staffer meeting at the end of the year, I have always felt was an incredible program advancement opportunity. When done poorly, it's awful and it's stagnant. When done well, I think programs get better leaps and bounds just from the course of those meetings, right? Like when I was a head coach, my end of year meetings, I tried to make sure that I timed them so that they were all the same length, so nobody ever thought long ones meant you were in trouble or really good, right? Or vice versa, right? So I tried to make them all the same length. But beyond that, the biggest thing I always thought was necessary was to discuss what success was supposed to look like, to discuss what we did, and to discuss what success looks like going forward. Right? Like to me, that covers everything. With the student athletes, I will say this: I have been called emotionless at times, and I would tell you I am surgical as John Wick in the coach student athlete end of year meeting, because before they ever speak, I welcome them. I tell them thank you for all that they've done this year. And then I say to them, at the end of the day, we can talk about everything and anything you want to talk about in here. But if we are going to talk about money, we are only going to be addressing the indoor conference meet, the indoor national meet, the outdoor conference meet, and the outdoor national meet. Now, if you did not score in any of those four, you should stop having the thoughts about having a conversation with me about money. If you are on scholarship and you did score, if your point score is not commensurate with the scholarship amount that you were on, meaning if you're on 60% and you didn't score 6 points at the conference meet at the very least, again, you should cease and desist with the thought that you're going to get money or get more money, and so on. There's a real formula to it. I'll show it to you if you'd like, student athlete, but at the end of the day, it should be painfully obvious to you and I that you get an increase if we're going to talk about money. Proceed. And it just doesn't get, like, at the end of the day, we talk about all kinds of wonderful things, and because the financial piece took care of itself. Right? There's no emotion, there's no ambiguity to it. Like literally, it's a formula. That way, it doesn't matter whether I like you or not. If you overperformed, I pay you money. It doesn't matter if I love you or not. If you underperformed, I take your money. Like, it's just that simple.
Yeah.
I got a formula chart.
Look, when I was at Eastern Michigan, the swim coach there literally had a calculator sitting on his desk, sitting next to a formula, like points equal dollars. End of story. Right. It was just that simple.
So here's a thought, and I know we will move on from this, but can you imagine if every conference championship, indoor and outdoor, was a money-making endeavor? How would, think about the amount of meets, right, with high quality competition, with talented athletes going for a team title, right? What if it was mandated that, yeah, just like everybody shows up for the ACC conference basketball tournament, or why wouldn't, or why couldn't we somehow, let's just start with marketing. Can we let folks know where this meet is?
And what's crazy is marketing is now free, right? Because you can do social media blasts that are better than like the marketing that's done for USA Track and Field National Championships.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So like you can literally market things like that for free. But go further, KST. Like a great number of the conference championships are free.
Are free.
Like, that's the wild part.
Yes.
A great number of them are free.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, I got an idea. Let's charge, and not just charge a premium and then make it a revenue share. Right? However
were
many teams there
you
are
were
in the conference, you add one, right? So if there's 10 teams in the conference, you got 11 shares. If you host, you get 2.
right.
Everybody else gets 1. That's it.
I'm telling you, man. I mean,
It's not that hard.
the sheer amount of track meets that go on in an NCAA season from beginning to end, you cannot tell me that there aren't money-making opportunities between January and June. Come on. It's
Hey.
it's something that, you know, it should not be a novel idea, but God forbid if that was part of the mandate that, yeah, we've got to earn our keep. We've got to make sure we're contributing something to the pot, you know?
Everybody who has children knows that you pay through the nose and then again for any youth sporting event.
Yep.
So we are all, as parents of children who do athletics, used to paying.
Yep.
Why track and field fans and track and field athletes don't get that, I do not know.
It's
right. Like we pay a team fee for the kid to be on the fee. We pay on the team. We pay additional fee for individual instruction. Then we pay the team fee, it covers the tournament costs, right? But then when we go to the tournament, we have to pay a gate fee.
yeah.
So I say to the lady, I gotta pay money to go see my kid play on a team that I paid for him to be on. And she was like, yes. This is after I paid for parking. Right? And we're at a baseball field all day. So what am I going to eat? More than likely the concessions.
Alcohol and gambling.
I mean, the mere fact that, you know, anyone that hosts NCAAs or hosts first round, you know, your track is now being taken over by the NCAA, right?
Mhm.
And those fees or those tickets that they charge are going into their coffers.
Yep. Ain't no revenue share there.
Do they have to pay to rent the track?
I highly doubt it.
No, because
No.
if you charge them, they would just go to another track.
Another track.
Because somebody's gonna do it for free.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
mean, the SEC meet alone, man. Come on. I mean,
If you ever been to Texas A&M, you know you pay for a track meet.
yes.
Indeed. I hope that one day in the near future, I get to have an argument with somebody around here after our track is built.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to tell me that I have to pay to host the whatever the hell, the legacy relays.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have that argument with somebody.
Well, I'll help you hit your bullet points. Well, I'll help you develop those.
Bullet, maybe. No points.
I still contend that men's track has been one of the biggest revenue making sports in the NCAA, and we never ever get credit for it because the average men's track team has 50 people on it, and you had 12.6 scholarships. So at the end of the day, 38 scholarships were being paid to go to that school.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Well, to wrap things up, to have a little more fun, I'm going to take a question from the audience.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and I'm really catching you guys off guard on this one. So, what is your opinion of the recent pro coaching changes that have been happening? For example, and these are the ones I'm just going to list. Louis Hinchcliffe going to Richard Kilty.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Coleman, I mean, this isn't a new one, but Christian going to Dennis. The Australian, I'm not aware of this one, so I'm reading verbatim. The Australian Tori Lewis going to Femke's training. So what are your opinions about those? Or even one that I may not have mentioned?
I think it's completely predictable. Um, changes almost always happen the year after the Olympics because so and so is not pleased with the results that they got at the Olympics, and it is the coach and the environment's fault. So we must change the coach and or the environment and go someplace else so that we can now get the better results that we will now get in the new place. I always go back to, this was back to year one, and I read this stat off that they had in the 2000 Olympics. The average medalist has had like 1.2 or 1.3 coaches in their professional career. So it just, like, the numbers don't lie. When you change camps, that doesn't mean you can't win. It just means that it's not what you think it is in most cases. I think from the Australian young lady's perspective, like, going to the camp where Femke is probably smart and not smart, right? It's probably smart because you're probably going to get better, but it's also not smart if you ever think you're going to be the number one person or priority in that group. Not a thing, can't happen. You are Femke's training partner, end of story. As long as you're good with that and that's better than what you're currently doing, then do it.
Well, and can't you withstand that?
So, I mean, the audience, quote unquote, asked about 3 specific situations. So, I think Miss Lewis is Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Tori Lewis.
I think her going to Femke of these 3 is the best move.
Yes.
With all due respect to Australia, I mean, she's kind of in, purgatory out there, by herself in that part of the world. I think moving to Europe, acclimating herself to a training schedule and a training regimen and a hemispheric change that is adaptable to the sport she's trying to do, I think plays in her favor. And her and Femke ultimately run different events, so I don't really think it's going to be much of an issue at all. Good move by her. She's young, she's gifted. Let's see where it goes. Christian Coleman, the Christian Coleman move probably disappoints me more than any of them. That move feels like a thing that for so many reasons has been coming for a long time, that a lot of people have pushed for a long time. I don't know how strategically successful it's ultimately going to be, but I also understand it given the fact that where Christian is in his career, didn't make the team. It's a Nike piece. There's so many entities in that, right? So it's just like, I get it. And, if you're a fan of Christian Coleman, you hope that it's going to be successful. I just, Christian Coleman sticking with Tim Hall for as long as he did was one of the feel good stories in this business. And I'm sad to see that end. Even though by all accounts it ended peacefully. Right. The Louis Hinchcliffe thing, I'm gonna just sum this up for y'all. It's a Brit thing. Like, don't read too much into it. Get past it, get over it. It's a Brit thing. Louis talented, obviously NCAA champion. Nobody would be remotely as offended as they are if the person who coached him to that title wasn't Carl Lewis. Like no one would really even be sweating this. The fact of the matter is, it's a risk, obviously. Richard Kilty, is a well-known British relay bandit who everybody says is smart and is now getting his feet wet in the coaching game with their quote-unquote rising star on the Brit side. It's a Brit thing. That's all it is. Boy wanted to go home, and he got himself a situation where an experimental situation that everybody hopes works out for the best.
Yeah, I mean, summing it up, I mean, and I'm just from an observational standpoint, Torrey Lewis made a business decision to go live and train in Europe.
Yeah.
And, you know, what better place to do it? The facilities in the Netherlands are top notch. You're training with one of the best athletes in the world. And that could have started at a dining hall somewhere, simple conversation, you know, hey, I'm probably at the top of the game in Australia, but I want to take it to another level. And I feel like the schedule in Australia is not conducive
No.
if I'm running races,
Oh,
you
it's
know,
truly not
On the
anymore.
opposite-
Now that Worlds is in
in
September.
Yeah.
Now, it's
exactly
truly not now.
right. If I'm having to get ready for the Australian season in November and December, you know,
Yeah.
and finishing up my season in February and March, that does nothing for me now, right? So that I could see that situation, you know, being purely a decision, a business decision, as far as her competing on the World Athletic schedule. Okay.
Right.
As far as Coleman, I could see that being one of those. I mean, we've seen this play out multiple times where an athlete gets a phone call and says, "Hey, if you stay here with Coach X, you are going to get paid X amount. If you go to this group that we think will be better for you, we think we will pay you X plus this amount," right? And again, this is a hypothetical, but I can easily see that situation being that. I need you to leave that collegiate environment and I need you to go to a professional environment, right? End of story. And as far as Louis Hinchcliffe, you know, again, I'm on the same wavelength as you, Clyde. There has always been, and there always will be, this sense from British athletics that we need you home. We want you, you know, despite the success you may have had with that coach, you know, despite the travels you've gone from Washington State to Houston, if you want funding,
You gotta
if
come
you
home.
want funding from our lottery, you've got to come back to England. You've got to train in England with Coach X. So 3 different scenarios as to why these young athletes would leave their situation and move. But I mean, there's a plethora. I mean, we could go down the list of reasons why people make these changes, and you know, you can just hope that it all works out for the best.
I will just say, and I don't disagree. The Hinchcliffe thing is not. I'm sure the BA funding is a piece of it, but understand that boy got a pretty damn good deal from ASICS.
Mm-hmm.
So he ain't need that check. I just, you know, but to your point, the Brits like it when the Brits are in Britain.
To be
Yes.
home. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So maybe it's not just the funding piece, but more about if you want to be in our good graces.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
and that
I'm
is a
sure
big
they
deal.
want to try to make him the male face of British athletics at some level, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know what but at some level, I think that is probably part of it, right? Is we need you in Britain if we're going to be putting you on buses and all those other things. I will say this about the Christian Coleman thing, right? The one disadvantage that Christian has always had in training by himself, male wise, is not having the group think, starts and such, right? So, right, not having that stimulus, and there is something to be said for, especially as you get closer to competitions, having block start sessions that are competitive.
Yeah.
That I will say is relevant, right? And you could do a lot worse by having your training partner be Kenny Bednarik. So, and again, it may also be a staling situation. Like, he's been with Tim for a long time,
He has.
Yeah.
right? So at this point, he might need a change,
Yeah.
right? He might actually need a change, because sometimes your situation can get stale, and if it's not progressing, right, then it's easy for somebody to convince you that it's stale,
Yeah.
right? It's easy to crawl into your brain that it's getting stale. So obviously, I hope for the best in that one. Christian's I'm a big fan of Christian's. And with Louis, at the end of the day, I think that there are decisions that were made that were part of this decision that were not best thing on the track decisions, right? There were parameters that were added to the decision. And anytime I think when you're dealing with a career that is as razor thin and as finite as track and field careers, just this man's opinion, I think you always make the decision that is absolutely going to, in your mind, produce the best performance on the track. All other decisions fall in line with that. Right? Like, I mean, that's why Zarnell chose to train in the Caribbean. Because it was the best decision for him athletically. And it worked for a while.
Yeah.
All right. Well, opinions. We'll keep coming back with them. It's not like we don't have them. Good God. So
I like these point blank, out of the blue questions. I like that.
Yeah. Keep that up.
Keep it coming.
That's why I don't never read what we're doing on the show.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hey,
So,
I know that guy.
Deja Vu showing us a shout out.
Oh,
So,
Lord.
That is a real shirt.
It is a real shirt.
Yep. So, all right, y'all. Well, have a great weekend. Keep pushing forward, keep moving the needle forward, and we'll see each other soon. Bye, everyone.